Hi guys, Nick here from Conservation Careers and welcome to the podcast. Now, have you ever considered working as an environmental consultant? Do you know what one is and does and what skills they're currently looking for? Well, today we're speaking to Nancy Thomson, who's the director and founder of Thomson Environmental Consultants, which is a really well-known name within the industry. Now, Nancy has set up two consultancies already. The first she sold before going on a round-the-world boat ride for 5 years, and now heading her second company, which is already turning over 20 million as it seeks to expand rapidly. Now, we talk about what it's like to work as an environmental or ecological consultant, and the typical projects they get involved with at Thomson and beyond. And we also discuss the types of people they're seeking to hire, along with hearing her career story of how she set up Thomson and where the company might be going next. She's a real visionary, modest in character, but big in ambition and drive and ability. And it's a hugely enjoyable and inspiring chat. As always, enjoy.
So my name is Nancy Thomson. I am the founder and chief executive of Thomson Environmental Consultants.
Welcome, Nancy. Thank you for joining the Conservation Careers podcast. Nice to be talking to you. So you're founder director of Thomson Environmental Consultants. Let's start by talking about that then, if we can. What is Thomson Environmental Consultants for people who haven't heard about you and the work of your company?
God, I thought we were world famous. How can you say that?
We will be soon.
I started my first company when I was 26, I think, and that was in environmental consultancy then. And there were only about 3 other companies in the UK that did anything environmental at all.
Right.
So I grew that for about 15 years and then sold it. And in 2004, decided that ecology was the area that I was most interested in as something that's growing as, I was going to say, a problem. Ecology is not really a problem. It's the people damaging it. You might not want to record that.
It's okay. I'm happy if you're happy. That's fine.
No, but ecology is not a problem. I just thought it was an interesting area to go into. My first degree was geography. Right. Because ecology wasn't available then. So geography is very close to ecology. It's all about the environment, the planet, etc. So that's my interest. And while I'm at it, my second degree was an MBA, which is my other interest, which is starting and growing businesses. Yeah. So those two things probably sum me up, really. So in 2004, when I started the company, I had just come back from sailing around the world and I was thinking about what to do and decided to start an ecology-focused company, a consultancy specifically dealing with ecology. Yeah. It's very alarming starting a company from zero. The first thing we had to do was buy some chairs from IKEA and put them together. That was a challenge enough. But at the end of the first year, we had turned over something like 250,000. So we thought, oh, this is going to be successful. And really, it has just grown and grown and grown. And this year, I'm not sure I'm answering your question, but I'm talking. This year, we will probably turn over something like 21 million. So it's grown quite fast. There have been little glitches along the way, like the banking crisis, a tiny COVID issue, etc. But overall, it's grown pretty fast. And we've now diversified across other natural environment areas. We're not going into engineering or design of railways or anything like that. It's all about the natural environment for us. So we're dealing with soils, waters, I can never remember everything, marine issues, marine taxonomy. So we're looking at little creatures from the bottom of the ocean. Yeah. What else? Habitats management, GIS and data management, all that kind of thing.
Fab. So you've really been on quite a journey then and got to a stage now where you're diversifying, doing lots of different things. If you put with someone who doesn't really even know what ecological consultancy is or does, how would you kind of summarize it in a nutshell? Like what is what is the work that you and your team do?
Okay, well, ecology itself is the creatures and their habitats. It's not just the creatures, that would be zoology. And it's not just the habitats, it's the two combined. And as everyone has probably got used now to hearing from David Attenborough, that if we trash the habitats, we kill off the species. Yep. So it is that interlinking that's the thing. In consultancy, in essence, consultancy is doing what people come and ask you to do, to help them out. So in the beginning, it was quite broad ranging, but I guess we're starting to define our clients more carefully. So we're looking to work with people that we enjoy working for, I think, and who are genuinely positive about the environment. So we're dealing with quite a lot of large infrastructure projects now, from offshore wind farms, onshore wind farms, HS2, you won't be surprised to know.
Big railway being developed in the UK, yeah.
Yeah, all big infrastructure projects we're dealing with, through to smaller things, housing, house builders, basically, all sorts of people. I'll just remember the rest of them while you ask me the next question.
That's okay, yeah. And I guess so the premise is there are people out there doing development, and your role, and correct me if I'm wrong, is to come in and to advise the client upon what species or habitats that may be of interest within here UK environmental law. So there's protected species, protected habitats. And then as part of that development, to advise clients about what they can and can't do and how they can avoid or mitigate any impact. So you're here to inform the clients as to what they can and can't do within UK or ecological law, I guess, more specifically. Have I got that wrong?
No, that's right. Our strapline is to compliance and beyond.
I love it. Very Buzz Lightyear.
Yes. So we help our clients, big, medium-sized and small, to comply with the legislation, planning legislation and wildlife legislation. So we help them to make sure they don't break the law. But beyond that, we try to help them to leave a positive impact on the environment, rather than just do the minimum that's required.
Yeah, so that's this net biodiversity gain that's being talked about nowadays. So if we're going to develop, let's leave things better off than when we found them.
Yes, exactly. That's right.
And do you have any examples of sort of, specific projects you've worked on that you're particularly proud of through Thomson, or your team has worked on, that you'd like to share?
Yeah, the one that I think most people, is quite a while ago, around about 2007, 2008. We did a huge amount of work on the London Gateway development, which is a container port in the Thames. And one of the things that we've sort of left a legacy, I suppose. We created a whole load of landscaping and habitat creation for great crested newts, everybody's favorite. But so we built a lot of ponds and landscaped a very big area. And some of our people that worked on it still go back and have a look at it, and actually take their children to look at it. Because it's not often, as a professional consultant, that you, in this field anyway, that you can go back and see something that you've done that's still growing, and it's growing by itself. We're not having to do it. So I think we're quite proud of that. And very often you see that container port on the television, because it was really an enormous development, quite high profile.
Fantastic. And presumably it's becoming an important habitat for other species beyond the newts nowadays. There's going to be birds using that habitat and other things.
Lots and lots of different species,
yeah. Fab. You mentioned at the beginning that your drive and your passion is all about ecology, but also about growing and developing businesses. You've developed one, sold one, you're developing another one now, which has already got to quite a size and quite a scale. Is there anything that's kind of surprised you in terms of how your business or businesses have grown? Is it what you expected when you started putting those IKEA chairs together, as to where you've actually got to now?
It was what I expected. A lot of people say that to me, but that was the plan, to grow quite fast and to diversify within the natural environment specifically, not to just diversify all over the place out of control. And the way we have diversified means that some of our bigger clients can use all our services on their projects. So they're getting all those services within one company, which I think is rather neat. That seems to work quite well.
Yeah.
But yes, if you're going to ask me where next, I think 50 million revenue sounds quite good.
Double and a bit, why not? Yeah, I love the sort of the scale and ambition. I mean, is it scary as a business grows to know when you're ready to hire, or presumably you have to take some risks, some financial risks, as to, you know, when is the moment to be recruiting more and growing strategically? I mean, what's that like to make those sorts of decisions?
Well, the last 2 years, we will have trebled in size in 2 years, which is, if you think that's scary, doing it during a pandemic where you can only see about 7 of your team. That's quite scary. In the flesh, I mean, we obviously use these conference calls, etc. It is a bit scary, and it also is a little bit baffling. I'm sure it feels like that for everyone else in the company, because everyone's limited to a sort of bubble of people that they see regularly. And I think that's a shame. We had quite a big meeting recently, about 18 people, and everybody did their tests beforehand. We were socially distances, all the windows and doors open, everything. And unanimously, they all said how nice it was to get back and see people that they hadn't seen for 18 months or so. And a lot of them are basically friends, you know, they're quite supportive of one another. So that's been a very difficult time. I think the next bit from 20 million to 50 million should be dead easy.
I love the confidence. I think I would find that rapid growth scary, but I can sort of see that this is all part of the plan for you, and it's nice to be able to allow your staff to come back together again and connect and meet the new guys, I guess, and girls who are joining you, you know, all the time.
Yes, and part of that growth is it's not about becoming a big conglomerate sort of company. I don't think we'll ever be like that. I think we're always going to feel a bit family-ish. But a large part of the growth is giving opportunities to managers and senior technical people to develop themselves and keep growing. The meeting we had the other day was management training for the kind of middle managers, to get them to develop their confidence and their abilities in managing their teams. So either as we grow, if they want to stay managing the same size team, they can, but ideally they would grow in confidence and ability and manage bigger teams, and below them there might be 2 more managers. So I think a lot of what we do is about empowering and inspiring people. I mean, it's not me that's going to do all this work, is it?
Exactly. It's your team.
Have to rely on everyone else to do it, and I think that goes well, actually. I think it goes well. We empower them quite well.
And what sort of people do you look to bring into Thomson then when you're recruiting? You know, well, there's 2 bits to this question. Obviously, you're growing. You're going to be, as you grow, looking for more staff. And I know you're looking for staff right now. You mentioned it's kind of like although it's growing, it still maintains this kind of family feel to it. It's still a very welcoming, warm place to be. What roles are you looking to fill at the moment into the future? And what sort of people are you looking to kind of bring in? What sort of skills or character traits, you know, are kind of ideal Thomson people?
We aim to take people on who share our values, and if they don't share our values, it's just not a fit. So our values are respect, integrity, support, and excellence. And if you look at those initial letters, that is spelling RISE, R-I-S-E, which means that virtually everyone in the company can remember those if I go and question them at any time. But if you have a whole company and it's growing fast and you have people that don't share the values, it really goes wobbly. So that's the main thing we're looking for. In addition,
you test that at interview, do you? Or how do you sort of gauge whether someone really is, you know, on your RISE spectrum, if you like?
Quite a lot of the time we do psychometric testing on people just to see what their strengths and weaknesses might be. We have a whole load of questions that you can imagine that we ask them that should give us a good idea. And if people, when they're being interviewed, if they know that they don't share those values, you can probably see them looking uncomfortable. So it's the usual skills of the interviewer, I guess. What's the other thing that we look for? Well, I think always look for enthusiasm and intelligence, because really you have to have the intelligence if you're a consultant, it'd be terrible if you said to the client all the time, I don't know.
Yeah, and the confidence to figure stuff out, I guess, therefore. And are you looking for specific skills or requirements or experiences as well, you know, for people?
Okay.
The country? Yeah.
At the moment, we're growing so fast that we have a very wide range of available vacancies.
Right.
And we're quite inclined to take people on just if they, as a person, they appeal to us.
Right.
And they can move from one team to another. But I guess principal ecologists and senior ecologists, marine taxonomists are always in short supply.
Yep.
As marine taxonomy is quite a highly specialist thing. I think we've just taken on 2, so we might just about be at capacity with that. What else are we particularly short of? Water specialists, water resource specialists, aquatic ecologists we're short of at the moment. All sorts of things, really. I think in many ways, if someone comes to us and they're a specialist in any aspect of ecology or environmental science, I think we would give them a good interview.
Right. Okay. So you're open to just sort of speculative people reaching out as well and sending CV and seeing if there's a place.
I think so, because in the past we've been quite narrow-minded about it, like this is the vacancy. Mm-hmm. But I think what we've done is miss a few people that are quite flexible, mm-hmm. and we should have considered them. So we're a bit more flexible ourselves now.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. Well, we'll share details at the end if people are interested to find out more. I'm sure they can find you through Google, but we'll have links as well as part of the podcast notes. So I'd like to sort of move on. So we talked about Thomson Environmental Consultants and what's going on there. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your career and your journey as well, Nancy, because it's fascinating what you've done and where you've got to already and where you might go next. Your ambition and clearly your passion and your aptitude for doing this sort of work is impressive. Just rewind a little bit. You told us a little bit already, a potted history of what you did at university, but what have been the main key steps that have got you to where you are? And reflection, like what has really helped to propel you into your sort of second company that's growing rapidly?
Yeah, it's very hard to know what propels you, I think. So I told you the 2 degrees that I did. Yep. And between those 2 degrees, I started my first company, which was specifically about measuring pollution, because there was nothing like ecology being dealt with. It was just how much, what chemicals are going up the chimney stack, what chemicals are being put into the river, what chemicals are in the air in the factory that are poisoning people. It was all that. It was quite scientific measurement. Yeah. And although that's absolutely essential, it wasn't very heartwarming, whereas ecology and environmental consultancy now is quite heartwarming. It's quite a good thing to be doing.
In what way is it heartwarming? Sorry, that's
well, you're doing a good thing, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're looking after the planet. The drive to look after the planet is accelerating fast at the moment, really fast. So after I sold that company after about 15 years. I'm racking my brains. What did I do next? Yes, after that, I went off sailing around the world for 5 years. With my husband. We bought a boat and did it up and set off. I was terribly seasick, but I had to take seasick tablets all the way around the world, which is 45,000 miles.
Oh, gosh.
But it was amazing experience. Really, probably the best thing I've done in my life. But then when I came back, I was thinking about what to do, and we met another couple on the round the world trip, and the man from that couple was managing director of a banknote printing machine company and an ex-finance person. So I always know that I need a finance person. I need a sensible person working with me all the time, because I can have some slightly random ideas. So it took me a whole year to persuade him that he should join me, so that when we got back to the UK, he had agreed to work with me, but I then spent another year just researching the market and whether it was doable, whether there were enough clients in it, etc. And there again, there were still only maybe 3 to 5 ecology consultancies at the time, and they were all quite small. But I got some advice from a friend of mine who was a director of 3i at the time. And he said, if you want to be successful, choose a company that is in a fast-growing niche. And I was thinking, what's a fast-growing niche? And I looked at the chairman's reports on lots of accounts from those companies. And one of the chairmen said, we're very honoured to have bought this ecology consultancy. It's in such a fast-growing niche. And I thought, ka-ching, that's it. That's logical. So, and it's true, it is a very fast-growing niche, and it's growing even faster now. And
right now, there were 3 companies back then you're describing. There must be.
I don't know how many now. There's lots. Easily 100. Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. You'd think if that many people were coming into the market that your workload would start to drop, wouldn't you? But it's not. The market's growing faster than the number of suppliers in it at the moment.
Interesting. As development continues apace, and as ecology and environmental law also kind of continues to develop as well alongside that. So it's a kind of ever-evolving field, I guess. What do you particularly like about your job and your role? Are there certain things that, you know, motivate you and get you up in the morning, or are there certain stresses and strains you'd like to remove also? Like, what would you like to share around that?
Stresses and strains of the COVID-19 situation, I'd be very happy to get rid of those. It's out of our control.
Yep.
Very
Hopefully
different.
will be before too long too.
Yes, we've just had 15 people have to isolate themselves. And I suspect when they have their test, it'll be negative because they're all very socially distant. So I don't know what happened there. Yeah. But that's not very helpful at all. I would say I'm not ecstatic about bureaucracy. I'm more the visionary, you know, thinking the big picture and the far distance and so on. And having to approve people's expense claims, oh my word, that's not my forte.
details, yeah.
That's it. I'm not a detailed person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you enjoy the vision, you enjoy the big picture, you like seeing things where they're going into the future.
Yes, definitely. And I remember in our first year of trading, I was talking to my business partner at the time about the future, and I was just babbling away about, we're going to have this, we're going to do that, we're going to be this size, next year we'll be that size, etc. And he suddenly said, for heaven's sake, where's this coming from? It's entirely in your head. And I thought, oh, that's true. But then I thought, isn't that how it's supposed to be? Somebody has to imagine a future, and then the whole company has to focus on it. We have a vision now, which I hope everyone in the company knows, and it's here, a vision.
Showing it up on camera. What does it say? Would you mind reading it out, please?
Okay. To be chosen by clients as their preferred specialists, admired by competitors, and regarded by people as the company to work for. We aim to be the most innovative, pragmatic, and fast-growing environmental consultancy in the UK. So there we are. I think we are.
That's it.
We are the fastest growing.
How does that make you feel when you read that?
I don't know. People always ask me, am I proud? Not particularly proud. I'm just on a mission. Just on a mission to get this vision achieved. And I think we're doing quite well on it. We tend, because we're smaller than our big competitors, we tend to be more adaptable and flexible on how we work. Yes.
Yeah, and I saw innovation built into that. That's all part of your strategy.
Yes.
Yeah, being able to pivot and move and spot opportunities. And presumably that gets harder as a business grows too, being able to sort of manage that change, or my assumption's wrong?
We have more people working on innovation now, simply because we have more people. And I would ideally like everyone in the company to be thinking about innovation. So in their own job, everybody, when they have a job, know that some bit of it could be done better, don't they? You probably do as well, except I think you're the boss, the same as me.
Yeah.
So why aren't you improving everything?
Yeah, but it's vital, isn't it? I know Google, they have 20% time typically. Whether this is an urban myth, I don't know, but they say 20% of the time of someone's work, a day a week typically, you can do your own projects and try and find spaces to create, more value for what we do and drive us towards our vision of the future, if you like. So I guess if more companies embed that within them, then we'd see more growth, across all sectors.
We've won some awards for innovation and we're continuing. It's been a bit tricky during lockdown, but we're continuing to grow the amount of innovation we're doing. So either we can just help a client who's got a tricky problem and we can find a way of solving it, or we can create an app which solves it and means that they save a lot of time, or anything. We've been doing lots of work on eDNA. You probably know about that, do you? Environmental
it's like water
DNA.
sampling. You can actually extract DNA from the water, and you know what species are there for in the water course. Fascinating. Yeah,
it is, and we're doing a lot of work on that with Imperial College.
Right.
We're also working with the Centre for Ecology and Hydrology on, or collaborating. I can't remember the exact projects we're doing off the top of my head, but collaborating on innovative solutions to things. So we're spreading ourselves quite wide on the innovation front, which is very interesting. It's not to say that everything is successful, but if everyone has a go at it, it's something good usually comes out the other end.
Yeah,
we have what's it called? An innovation window. So it's literally a big window with pens, and people just write suggestions on it, some of which are half mad. But if you get enough people putting in enough suggestions down, something good comes out the other end.
It's great. And you can see the other suggestions and start to join dots and connect ideas and build out from that. Again, like Walt Disney, another example would be when Disney was creating his cartoons, back in whenever it was, the 50s. He had two rooms, apparently. He had a dream room where everyone used to go and any idea goes. Classic sort of brainstorming, no ideas put down. It's always encouraged, like your dream window. And there's another room where they took all the dreams next door to their nightmare room. And then they tried to knock each idea to bits and see which one was still standing at the end of it. It's like encourage ideas and then really rigorously kind of scrutinize them. And at the end of that process, you might have a good one.
That's it. I've just written down dream room because I haven't heard that word for such a place. But that sounds like a really good place to have a room separately that's just, bean bags and so on. And people just ramble out their ideas.
Just encourage ideas and don't stem any idea. Don't stop it. Don't scrutinize it. Don't question it. Don't criticize it. Just let ideas flow and people.
That's it. Yeah. Quite often the person that comes out with the idea doesn't see a future in it, maybe, and someone else picks it up and thinks, wow, that'd be amazing. So yes, that's what I like doing. Yeah. Was that the question?
That does sound fun. Yeah. And visionary, let's sort of start wrapping up around there. Where do you see the industry going? 10 years time, something like that, ecological consultancy. We spoke to David Hill on the podcast a few weeks ago now, who set up RPS Ecology, sold to Ecoscope, now it's Environment Bank. And he's also recruiting, looking to bring new people in. And the work he's been driving towards is working outside of the development boundary he described. When you're working as a consultant, you have your site and most things are within that site. There's newts here, we need to mitigate them there. What he's trying to do is find pockets of land or large swathes of land elsewhere, and to essentially kind of take the funding, the mitigation funding from within a site that's going to be developed, and then improve land habitats elsewhere to kind of landscape scale, so disconnect the development from the outcome and get your net positive gain. They're talking about biodiversity gain. So as a result of that, we can actually gain more biodiversity. Do you see more of that sort of stuff, or do you see a different movement direction, biodiversity gains coming from consultancy work?
I'm sort of thinking higher up than that, I think. I think the way everyone's going to go is really putting a lot of time and energy into resolving the climate change problems. I mean, look at the floods in Germany. How on earth did that happen? I know they should have been prepared better, but you can say that about any disaster, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Some people should have been prepared better.
50 degrees in Canada recently too.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So I think all that, and I don't know what the answer to it is, but I think there are going to be a lot of consultancies and a lot of clever people trying to package a lot of those problems into some kind of solution. It's going to be very challenging.
But I guess an exciting time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, to be in the industry. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people listening to this podcast who are job seekers, essentially looking to kind of start their careers and get going. And ecological consultancy is a very popular area for them to be looking towards as well. Often provides training, often provides a good salary compared to other areas of the wider environmental conservation sector. If there are people listening to this and they like the sound of working for a consultancy like Thomson, or I guess another, what advice would you give them?
If they want to work for an environmental consultancy, well, if it were me, for instance, and I wanted to work for an environmental consultancy, I would swat up on the law. So I would look into wildlife law.
Yep.
Because most people find it boring, but really, if you go through the actual documents and you highlight key sentences, when you come to an interview, you can trot them out again, and you immediately sound like you are prepared to look things up.
Yeah.
Also, develop skills in identifying plants and animals. It's so important. It seems to be lacking in the universities at the moment. But really, lots of ecologists, if they're keen, will look at plants and animals when they're on holiday and try to identify them. And I can't say I'm the best person yet at all, but I find it interesting. So those two things, the law and identification of species, absolutely critical, and pretty much good competence in those two would get you into any consultancy, I think, any environmental consultancy.
Yeah. And would you advise people generalize when it comes to identification, be good at lots of different things? Or is it quite good to be, when you talked about like, marine survey, invertebrate, where's best, or does it not matter? Just follow your passion.
I think you should have a general ability, but specialisms are highly sought after. So specialists are highly sought after. Specialists in birds, mammals, herpetology, so newts and snakes and all sorts of things, creepy crawly things. Invertebrates.
Yeah.
So any kind of specialism on top of your decent general knowledge is very popular.
Yeah, fantastic. Nancy, it's so kind of you to share your time with us. It's really nice to talk and to get to know you a little bit. If people want to find out a little bit more about you and about Thomson Environmental Consultants, where should we send them?
Where should you send people? I'm on LinkedIn. Anyone can make contact through LinkedIn. That's probably as good as anything, actually.
Yep.
And I will respond.
That's very kind. Yeah. And I guess you've got a website too, which will provide links to, and people can follow you across your social media profiles. So
yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you again for your time, Nancy. It's really nice to chat.
Okay. Talk to you again.
Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, everyone. If you did, then please do hit the subscribe button to get notified of new episodes as they drop. And also please give us a rating or a review, because it really helps us to get in front of more people. Now, if you want our help to get clear and get started and get hired as a professional conservationist, I recommend you enroll in our free online training program, exploring how to get a conservation job. So if you're a student, a job seeker, or a career switcher, you'll learn the golden rule about how to get started, the key mistakes to avoid, and also we'll answer your biggest questions. You can check that out at conservation-careers.com/free. See you soon.